Page 521. Number 7, the unification of language. Even though in both America and Korea pigs grunt with the same sound and sparrows squawk with the same sound, human beings don't speak the same language. Whenever I traveled to different countries, I encountered all kinds of languages. It is so difficult to communicate even basic things like asking for food. Because of this, we human beings became the dumbest among the dumb. Who caused this? It was caused by the fall. How can we say that we are the Lord of the universe if we cannot even use the same language to become unified? We're now on page 522. How regrettable it is. There are so many things that dumb found me. Centered on God's absolute love, man and woman had to unite absolutely into one and establish one absolute culture. To establish one absolute culture, we have to have one unified language and one alphabet. So if I have emphasized many times for you to learn Korean and the Korean alphabet, because the creation and development of a unified culture must be conveyed through language and letters. Language is a problem. I speak in Korean. In the future, if you don't have an interpreter, what can you do? Do you have to learn from me, or do I have to learn from you? Why? If you learn Korean, which I am speaking, you can learn much more deeply and possess valuable things through me that is more valuable than anything else. That is why we don't conclude that you must learn Korean. Those who are really wanted to understand what Jesus spoke in the Bible try to learn Hebrew and Greek. That is because His words in the Bible are precious. How did the Renaissance conquer the world in the Middle Ages? Several famous philosophers appeared who were able to offer direction and precious value to lead humanity. They studied Greek to be able to follow that thought. It is simple. In the future, which language will be the original language? It will be Korean. If some problem occurs with a quotation, the original language will clarify it. Because we have to bring everyone in the right direction, in the future we will hold important conferences only in Korean. This view is correct. So, do you feel the need to learn Korean? You have to learn Korean. In the future, when you go to the spirit world, you will speak Korean. If the children of the true parents cannot speak their own parents' language, then they are like mutes. I will say they are mutes. The world will go toward that direction. I stirred up Western society since I came here. You have to understand that this is a new threat to religion, a new problem. It is true. The Korean language will be the one that people will study at or as the original language. No matter how many times you say, aha, while are you reading it in English, if it differs from the Korean original, then you will have to fix it every time. That is why unchanging things are valuable. It is the same in this case. Don't you think so? So you have to study Korean. The Korean language and letters were made in Korea and used in Korea. The term true parents was coined in Korea. Centered on true parents' love, God was able to be engrafted to the true parents for the first time in history. In other words, because Korean is the first language that God was able to start speaking on the foundation of true love, we can communicate with God mostly or most directly in Korean. We're now on page 523. The origin of the term true parents is absolute. That's why we have to learn Korean. Also, you have to learn Korean letters, which is the means of expressing the Korean language. You have to understand that Korea is the first place that God was able to speak words of love. Because I use the term cham bumo, true parents, for the first time in Korean, the origin of the term cham bumo is in the Korean language. Cham bumo is not English or Chinese. It is Korean. Therefore, Korean is the language of the loving fatherland of the Unification Church members. Because Korea is the beloved fatherland, you have to seek your fatherland. That is why you have to learn the Korean language and letters. I can say that the heart to want to be blessed with a Korean man or woman comes from the desire to go closer to the original hometown, because God expressed His first love in Korean. We're still on page 523. Since I was born in Korea, all of the unification thought and my speeches are published in Korean. The Reverend Sun Myung Moon's speech series are the sermon given on Sundays. More than 200 volumes will be published. I am expecting many scholars to study them. If you don't read them in the original language, you cannot be an authority on them. Everyone needs to understand that these volumes contain the guiding ideology that cannot be omitted in any aspect of the new history, world, and culture. I have worked hard for God's providence. I have not heard of any occasion in history when God's providence could be completed through the politics, economics, or culture of this world. Nowadays, the number of scholars who study Korean has been increasing. It is because they want to read my speeches in Korean. If you translate my speeches, then their authority is decreased. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. You must read them. Don't you think you have to read them in the original language? Over the past 40 years of Korean independence since World War II, these speeches have progressed with advances of history. In the future, if a scholar asks you questions, what are you going to answer? If he says that in Reverend Moon's speech it refers to this or that, then what are you going to answer? From 1990, I'm going to hold international conferences in Korean. How many years is it until then? 3 years. Without religious power, we cannot become unified. If everyone could communicate in Korean, then this one book would be enough. But if we have to translate it into 120 languages, then that would require 120 books. What a big mistake that would be. And what a big loss that would be for the future world. Without me, no one can achieve unity. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. Study Korean. Study very hard. With brains like yours, you could succeed within 1 year. The Korean language contains philosophy. It has the background of the principle of the universe and its harmony. There is a famous scholar in America who received a doctoral degree in linguistics on Korean phonetics. We're now on page 5 to 4. Doesn't my translator, Mr. Han, have good English pronunciations? If someone can speak English well, you cannot distinguish whether he is Korean or American. If a Korean can speak Chinese well, then people cannot distinguish whether he is Korean or Chinese. So these days, many Japanese tend to learn Korean first before learning other languages. The Korean language includes a very high level of religious language. The way of expression is very deep and delicately detailed. No other language can do this. That is why Korean people have good brains. Look at the Korean language. The expressions correspond to their meaning, like jikuk, jaykuk, to imitate a bird, or wadda katda, to mean coming and going. Why don't people say just wadda? Why do they also say katda? Also Gigi Gobuko, which means frying. Everything corresponds. No other language is formed like this. Also, Hui Chong, Hui Chang, or Dulong, Dulong, Dalang, Dalang signify the ding-dong of a bell, and he imitates laughter. Everything corresponds. In this way, Korean is the best language in the world. God taught the best language in the world to Koreans. No language other than Korean can express universal harmony. That is why I was born in Korea. So there was laughter. When Koreans hear this, they will be pleased. But if Westerners hear this, they may not be so happy. Even if they are not happy, I cannot help it. If you learn the Korean language, Korea will become good. Are you studying? It is easy to learn. You can memorize the Korean alphabet within 30 minutes. On the other hand, it is difficult, very difficult. I think the pronunciation of other languages is easier. The reason why Korean is excellent is because God gave Korea the blessing. The Korean language is better to learn than Japanese and Chinese among the Asian languages. For the future, to be connected to Asia, you need to understand Korean. Unless you understand the Korean people, you will not be able to understand Asia. Because Korea has been trained by the powerful countries such as the Soviet Union, China, and Japan. Koreans are able to understand everything, including the special characters of all other cultures. Without understanding Korea, you cannot understand Asia. That is why I tell you to learn Korean, even though Korea is just a small country. Geopolitically, Korea has such an enormous thought that can influence both the economic and political worlds in the future. It is good for you to keep in mind that Korea has such a background to study. For Japanese, if you learn Korean when they are young, they will never forget it. If you learn Korean, you can be connected to the world, so you have to study. Each nation should reinforce the education of their mother tongue. In each nation, education is the mother tongue. In the mother tongue has to be emphasized. By which language can you bring unity? The Korean language. Why do we have to unify language? All of you? Do you study Korean? From now on, I'm going to send someone who can teach you Korean. I'm going to send someone who can teach Korean to at least 12 developed nations within this year or next year. Did you finish publishing the books? How are you doing now? As soon as possible, we are going to publish books from which you can learn Korean. We will publish them by ourselves. It will be the best book to learn Korean. We're now on page 525. Now I have to hurry to arrange for Korean teachers to be sent out. From 1990, I will not use a translator. I will speak only in Korean. So from this year, 1988 to 1990, for 3 years, I have to send teachers to force members to learn Korean. Eventually, you have to do it. No one can do it for you. Only you can do it. It is the principle. If you don't, you will have problems in the spirit world. If you meet your ancestors in the spirit world, they will ask, "You work with a Korean teacher. Did you communicate with him in German, French, or English?" If you don't say in Korean, you will be punished. We are heading for the unification of the world, so you have to be able to read my speeches in the unified language. Where are my speeches? These 74 books contain my speeches. Now 74 books have been published. We will keep on publishing them. What are you going to do without reading them in the original language? The original language, not in English or German. So you don't need to worry about sermons from now on. These books contain the sermons I gave throughout my life. In the spirit world, the time will come when someone will question you about them. Are you going to say, I have never seen them and never read them? From the beginning, I'm not going to translate into English. I think it would be good if you could use Chinese characters. If you go to the spirit world without reading Chinese characters, you will face a big problem. If you leaders don't read them, you will have big problems. In future generations, will I go to your house, or will my speech be in your house? Think about it. Which one is it? My speeches will be in your home. Now is 5:29, and we have the last topic, 1.5 page. This is the last topic of the book. Reverend Oliver, should I continue, or we just read it tomorrow? There's only 1.5 pages more for this book. Okay, let's continue. Number 8, let's trust, love, and live together. What is your wish? You wish that someone could trust you. You wish that someone would love you and live together with you. If you can achieve those 3 wishes, you will be happy. Surely, those are your wishes. If Heavenly Father can trust you and love you and be with you, then what in this world would make you happier than this? Everyone in this world wants to be happy. First of all, to be happy, you need a companion to trust you. You should live with someone whom you can trust and have give and take with forever. Those who can achieve these things and live like these things all their lives are the ones who are truly happy. We're now on page 526. If we ask a woman what kind of husband is a good husband, she will answer, the husband whom I can trust to be steadfast forever is a good husband. For a man, it is the same. For God, it is the same too. God wants the kind of person. If someone can be trusted and receive love as God's partner, that person is the purest person. If we become the purest person and believe in God, then God will truly appreciative. And if those people live on with such an attitude of trust, loving each other, then God will want to live together with them. Someone who has achieved that kind of standard can become a responsible person.